Hey guys, welcome to a breaking news edition of Attack and Defend in Toronto, where the Blue Jays have fired their manager, Charlie Montoyo. This comes after they have failed to reach expectation after expectation, so some could say that they were justified in firing him. And we have Attack and Defend here for a reason, so we will discuss that with our co-host, Emily, who will be attacking it, and Justin, who will be defending it. So Emily, take the reins.
Thanks, Noor. So I think when you look at an MLB organization, there's a couple things you need to consider before you're firing your manager. Let's start out with pitching. The bullpen is a big part of a pitching team. So when you have starters who are injured, like Ryu getting injured earlier on in May, out for the rest of the season, Kevin Gausman obviously was injured, ball to the ankle, is out for a bit with that as well. You're looking to your relief pitchers to really pick up the ball, as they would say, and finish the games for you. When you don't have a strong bullpen, the Blue Jays are sitting at a 4.26 ERA in their bullpen, which is 13th in the American League out of 15 teams. Not the greatest. So you have to look at what changes do we make in the bullpen, what can we do here to pick up the slack of our starting pitchers being out and injured.
The reason why Charlie Montoyo should have been fired and was fired is because you can't trade every player on the roster, right? He's the scapegoat. And it's the easy option to get rid of a manager, a guy who's been under fire for the last couple of years. You have this uberly talented team in the Toronto Blue Jays, which before the season started were number 2, right behind the Dodgers for World Series odds, and they've fallen flat on their face. Now, they're still in a playoff spot, but given where the expectations are, this is not where this team should be. So what do? You have to change it up. Change up the dynamic in the clubhouse. Firing the manager is the easiest way to create that change, rather than trading a big piece here or there, because I think when you look at the big bats, you want to keep them here. The pitchers, yes, Kikuchi has been horrible. Kevin Gausman has been dealt with injuries. Hyun-Jin Ryu has not been there, but they don't have that many assets more to trade away. So the easiest option to create a change is to fire Charlie Montoyo, and that's what they did. That's why it's the right move to make.
But I think, though, when you're looking at trades, you're looking at your Blue Jays front office. You're not looking at Montoyo to make those big trades, even from the minor league prospects to players on your current roster. You need to make changes like that in order to succeed, obviously, in baseball. Why at the beginning of the season were the Jays hot, back-to-back wins, multiple in a row, and then it went downhill from there? We were blaming that all on Montoyo?
I believe a lot of his decision-making has been questioned this whole season, whether it's leaving pitchers in, taking them out, and stuff like that. And even to last year, too. Many people said last year if Charlie Montoyo had made different decisions and wasn't the manager and a competent manager was in place for the Blue Jays, they would have been in the playoffs, right? So this stems from years previous. A team that won 91 games last year should have been in the playoffs. They're talented to be in the playoffs. You're right. Management has not built this team as you would want to build a team with a strong bullpen, because, like you said, when you come to the playoffs and in baseball, it's a war of attrition with pitchers. It's not if you have the best pitchers, it's how many healthy arms you have available, and the Jays don't have enough healthy arms right now or in the last couple of years. So it's the easiest move to fire Charlie Montoyo, and I just think he never really had the command of the clubhouse, right? When you think of a team that has young stars like this who are still trying to find their way, you have George Springer, who's been around as a vet, but a lot of these guys haven't, right? So you need a strong leader in the clubhouse who can take the reins, and when things get, when they're on a losing streak, kind of either release the tension or tighten it up again and get guys back on track.
Totally, and I totally understand what you're saying. However, if aside from pitching, you're looking at hitters, Bo Bichette, Vladdy, George Springer, who haven't been playing as well as they did last season. Mm-hmm. Is that something you add on to Charlie Montoyo's bag of baggage, or are you looking to the players to smarten up, figure out what they're doing wrong, work on their hitting? Because there are other coaches in the dugout with the players that can help them succeed.
He's the manager, right? He oversees the entire on-field product, right? He is, the custodian. He's got to clean up the mess that's left on the field, and he left a pretty big mess right now. Although they're still, in playoff contention, the way I see it is the team is vastly underperformed. I think you look at the Yankees, they're 15 and a half games behind the New York Yankees, who, after last year, people were wondering, is this the end of Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton? They're playing great baseball, and Charlie Montoyo has a more talented team than the New York Yankees, in my personal opinion. He was able to not do less. And that comes down to leadership and having the ability to get guys out of those slumps, being able to work with those players. Yes, there's hitting coaches and stuff like that, but having the ability to talk to your star players and be like, hey, I know you're holding the bat extra tight, don't worry about it, or putting pressure on those players to get them to play better.
But where's the hitting coach for that?
Well, the hitting coach is also, the mechanics of it as well. But Charlie Montoyo is the manager for a reason. He has to have a good grasp of his clubhouse, and I don't think he had a good grasp.
This has been a riveting conversation, and before this goes beyond being composed, we've never had that before in the studio. Thanks to Emily, it's been more composed than ever before.
Okay.
But I think Justin would even agree that she's the one who brought stats, sources, and knowledge to this debate. But we will find out in due time whether this was a win decision or an L decision. So Emily, take your crown. Justin, I'm sorry, add to that L ratio, and we will see you next time on Attack and Defend.